Caroline. I'm at a crossroads of what to do in my career. I don't love what I do anymore, and I've been seeking more meaning. Ooh. Okay. I think these are some fits here. So I'm getting Caroline card number 1, Olivia card number 2. So I'm just gonna, because we already kind of have questions here, so I'm just gonna jump right in on these. It felt like there was a urgency about it. Like it feels like I don't know if that's describing your energy, if you're feeling on kind of like high alert and I have to decide. You were saying like at a crossroads, like I have to decide what's next. But it feels like there's a bit of it's almost like a heart palpitation and like I gotta do this, like I gotta do something. Like it feels like there's just like a sense of urgency about it. So I'm trying to determine, like, is that just perception or like imagined, or is it actually urgent? Or are you being asked to urgently act to make this choice? No, it feels like it's more of like a self-imposed thing. I'm getting something about bandwidth. So this feels more like it's a question for you, something to reflect on. When you think about what it is that you're doing right now, how would you say, it's coming as 1 out of 10, if you were to rate the kind of bandwidth that you have in your current role, in your current position type, so like manager, individual contributor, etc., what would you say your bandwidth is out of 10? So your ability to do the job, but also go home or end your day with something left in your cup, something meaningful. Your cup is still 40% full. Where would you fall on that, of like how often that tends to happen? And this is being rated as a 1 out of 10. You can answer if you want, otherwise something to think about, because what you're being nudged to is, if you feel like that's low, then it feels like it's really important to what it is that you are doing. Like it's part of why you don't love it, because it's draining, because it's exhausting, because if you were doing something, even though it was hard work, if you leave and your cup is more than 40% full every single day, then it's because you are getting something back from it, because it's having you feel inspired, creatively activated. Those are the terms that I'm getting. And if it's doing none of the above, then you're just leaving depleted or feeling used or not appreciated. So I don't know if some of these depictions resonate. Let me know. But it seems that a very, very crucial component in deciding, I feel like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to stay. You can leave. You can do whatever. But in deciding what to do next, very crucial, important is, what is your bandwidth at the end of the day? What do you want your bandwidth to be? How full do you want your cup to be at the end of every day? Picking something that ensures that you do leave feeling inspired, hopeful, like you've done something that matters, like you have engaged your skill set, you've engaged your creativity. It's not making you want to pull your hair out or fall out of your chair because you're sleeping. You're not stimulated at all. So it seems like that is a baseline in helping you to identify which way to go. So if you already know, I don't get any of that stuff from this job, that is why I don't feel that I love it, then those are the traits, those are the characteristics of the job description, not even just what it is that you are doing, but like, what is the lifestyle? What is happening with, do you have to go into an office? Do you have to commute? How far is it? Things like that. All of the above goes into if you're feeling that your cup has something meaningful in it at the end of the day. This is a thought exercise for you. It's a reflection. This seems to me like this is tying to the first reading because we were talking about securing your values. So if you know, as an example, this is what's important to me, these are my values in job, life, in my career, for my aspirations, for my growth, whatever it is that you find to be the most important. It's locking those short list 3 things down and allowing the winds of change, things that might be different, the insights coming through, the adjustments coming through, but you're maintaining what is most important and you're maintaining a sense of optimism about it, that your expectations could align with reality as long as you have those foundational pieces in place. And I'm getting nudged to flip over the card. And of course, this is hilarious. Let's all laugh together. Last quarter moon in Sagittarius, practice gratitude. The reason that this is funny is because card number 1 was first quarter in Sagittarius. So this is the other half. We're also reflecting. I mentioned this when I talked about the collective reading. When you have a first quarter, when you have a last quarter, you're reflecting. And you are being asked to reflect here. You're being asked to think about what your beliefs are. It's like this is why I was echoing the first card, because we had a lot of similar characteristics. Practicing gratitude is knowing what is working for me, what is going well, what's going right, what do I know authentically aligns with me, because that helps us with the manifestation process. When we have a last quarter, we are gearing up to start a new moon cycle, which is when we manifest. So when we reflect, we can have a better understanding of what we want, what will work for us. So when you do the reflection in the examples that I gave, that kind of journal prompt or just reflection question with the 1 to 10, thinking about what those top 3 values are, to kind of conceptualize what it is that a next job or next leg of your career would offer. All of those last quarter reflections are, this is the thing you've achieved. Last quarter comes after a full moon. So you've achieved it. You've had a career. And now we're reflecting on, how do I feel that went? That's what we're doing right now. And then we can harness what we learn from that, harness what we appreciate about it. It's the gratitude. And when you have gratitude energy, it's an expander. It raises your vibration and it helps you with calling in new moon, helps you with calling in what it is that you want. So you're harnessing that to plant the seeds to manifest that next chapter. But you have to have clarity first. You have to know what it is. And it seems that the starting point that is coming through is looking at what is working, looking at what is the most important that fills your cup. And I did give that as an example about being appreciated. So it's others expressing gratitude to you, and then it makes you feel satisfied in it. So maybe that is one of them for you. Do you feel like your work is appreciated, that you are valued through things that people say to you, actions that they take, the pay that you receive, the benefits, the hours? Like, you can slice this in a lot of different ways. Do you feel that the work that you were doing, not just the role that you're at or the company or business that you're working for, that there is appreciation, there is gratitude expressed for what you are doing? And if not, then maybe that is a very important pillar for you that you want to secure with your zip ties and maintain in whatever it is that you're doing next, that becomes a requirement, that becomes a deal breaker for you. Wherever I'm going next, I have to have that. I have to witness them doing that with their other employees, hearing them talking about it in the interview process. Or that's how you know, if you go to another place, you do a different type of a role and you're not seeing it, you go, oh, well, this is one of my pillars. This isn't working. Gonna move again. And we know that we can get to that new beginning. And we're grateful for the opportunity that we had so that we could learn more. The challenge is doing the work but also it's being scrutinized, so it doesn't feel meaningful. Okay, so then hopefully you do relate to what I was just saying. I don't know why the chat didn't scroll with what you were writing, so I just had to move it. Thank you for that question. I feel that was probably helpful for some other people to hear similar advice. So Olivia's question, I would love to hear about what I may not be seeing that could be released. So really what this is getting at is like, what's in my blind spot? And I'll bring this up because this is what's popping in, but I had this written in my journal for today, that this astrological transit that is happening today, just to place this in time, is Uranus entered Gemini. And for my natal chart, Gemini is in my 12th house. And I had listened to a podcast the other day and somebody was interpreting it. And what they said for the 12th house is that you are becoming aware of what is in your blind spot. So I think I'd be so curious if you had a similar placement, but that is what's kind of coming through. It's this idea of when we can actually look into and towards the shadows, we have to shine a light on it in order to know it's there. So it feels like there's a component of whatever it is that you are being encouraged to release. Part of the nature of your question is like, so what is it? What am I not seeing? So it's the work of getting the flashlight and pointing it, but we have to know where to point. I'm just getting that as a backdrop. I'm going to look into this a little bit more deeply, but that was what was coming through as a comparison right away. It's kind of like what's hidden in the shadows. I don't know if you're familiar at all with shadow work. For anyone who isn't, when you do shadow work, again, you're looking at the figurative shadows, but you're looking into fears, insecurities. It could be things from your childhood, as they are manifesting in your present day. But we have to look into those shadows, sides of ourselves, what we keep hidden from others or even from ourselves. And through those, find the medicine to heal. It's like when you know the issue, you acknowledge the issue, that is the first step, because then you can do something with it. If you don't know it's there, then you don't know where to begin. Sorry, I keep like talking and then I'm getting looped around into like, talk about this now. It's similar in premise to also in astrology, which we will be talking about in our next astrology transit class, Chiron. And Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid. And in your chart, it represents an area of your life that it feels like a wound. It feels, in essence, like the shadow, like this soft spot, this challenge that keeps coming up. It's a trigger point. It's something that's exhausting, and that we have to face it, and then we can master it in this lifetime, and we can become the teacher. We can help other people to navigate through that. So again, I don't know, I guess in this context, I don't know where you have Aries in your chart. I don't know where you have Gemini in your chart, if you understand your astrology, but I'm being pointed to these two different transits because they could be providing some insight, apparently. I just keep seeing like holding a teddy bear tight. It does feel like it's related to inner child work. Not quite nostalgia, not about necessarily forgetting things or having to heal specific memories, more about emotional safety, security. Which, of course, is interesting with reading number 1, because we were talking about what we want to secure. What makes me feel safe? Present tense. So if I think about my life, what makes me feel safe? This can feel like a big question, because you can take this broadly or go into something very specific. Oh, what makes me feel safe is when I lock my door at night. It could be something like that. Or it could be when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my closest friends, when I can be laughing and vulnerable. their honesty makes me feel safe. Like, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different interpretations how you could take this, but that feels like it's an important question, something to reflect on. What makes me feel safe? Present tense. Separately, it feels like I'm just going to get a bunch of journal prompts here. So if you would like to do these, I would definitely write them down. Recalling times when you didn't feel safe. This feels like it's a heavier, kind of stickier question. These also could be very specific. It could be, but it seems like it's being targeted at moments, certain moments. And this is where, depending on your life experience, you can also do these or talk about these with a mental health professional, if you have a therapist, or talking with friends or mentors. In knowing yourself, is it okay to reflect on these questions by yourself, or do you feel that you need additional support? If you want additional support, either don't do this exercise or do this exercise in that safe space. So that is what is coming through as an important caveat here. We don't want to wade into the shadow work waters if we don't actually feel that we can handle it by ourselves. There's nothing wrong with having additional support. So for that second question, that was reflecting on specific moments in your life when you have felt unsafe. This comes across like it doesn't have to be reliving the whole thing, but it's bulleting them down. Secondary question to this is noticing a common thread. So what we're trying to parse out. So all these different questions are hitting at angles of what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel unsafe. What are the triggers for it? What are the commonalities? And being able to harness that so that we can take from that option for mantra. Feels like question number 4 is writing a mantra for yourself based on what you have learned from these previous questions, a mantra that you could use. It feels like it's more elaborate than just I am safe. It's something that's really specific, tied to your root, your foundation of what it is that makes you feel safe. So it's written, it's chosen with words that are echoing what it is that you know makes you feel safe, and that specifically is combating or could be applied in situations where you'd feel unsafe. Not necessarily that specific list, but like that where that theme is activated. So maybe you're someone who loves structure, or maybe you're someone who desperately needs structure. And either way, it's a framework. These are guardrails for safely. That's the theme here, for safely looking inward, pointing a light at the shadows, pointing into your blind spot. And to illuminate the blind spot, it's kind of chipping at different sides of it with these different reflection questions and getting us to be really honest, thinking about the present, thinking about the past, and then creating an application for the future so that we can adjust. I love these prompts. I promised myself some time to reflect this week and have intentional release with the full moon. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Olivia, you're so right, because we have the full moon that's happening on the 10th. So great opportunity to work with this as well. I need structure. It helps me stay on track. Otherwise, I'm all over, but I really want to be intentional this week. Wonderful. Okay. I haven't even flipped over the card yet, but I'm so glad that this is connecting. So hopefully you wrote those questions down so that you can look at those this week. Would be great, would be super great for a full moon ritual. But as I mentioned, if you feel, especially for, I think it was the second question, times when you felt unsafe, if you feel like you want to do that in certain circumstances, you want to make sure you have access to people, because it depends on what comes up. I don't know what your lived experience is. So keep that in mind. Oh my gosh, so cute. So the card that we got is New Moon in Cancer. Relax. So obviously we're talking about a full moon. which is the opposite. But we are in Cancer season. So when we have our full moon is in the opposite sign. So we're talking about Capricorn. So we have, I think this is so cute that we have the opposite. So we have the sister sign and we have the opposite phase. So we have we're talking about the full moon release, and we have the new moon, which is the beginning. So, and the call to relax. I would say when I have pulled this card for myself and others, it tends to be from either being kind of wound up or just the encouragement to know we're being supported through this process. Cancer is that warm hug. It's that feeling of safety. It's what we're talking about. It's when you're at home. It's when you're with your family, when you feel that you can relax. This is bringing me, we were talking a little bit about the first reading of like what secures you. And I mentioned Jupiter and Cancer. So it's the same idea. So when we're calling in relaxation, we're calling in peace, we're calling in grounding and support. And maybe we need that through this reflection process, through the sister sign, Capricorn full moon release. If we're clenched, if we're holding on, we have to relax to then really release. The emphasis I mentioned at the top was on your emotional safety. Cancer, cardinal water sign. Reputation for Cancer is hard shell, soft and gooey center. So all of the water signs have a very emotional component to them, but how they navigate through it varies based on their modality. So with Cancer, we could try to keep things in. We could put a wall up. We could not want to go there. It's in our blind spot. But we have to look inward. We have to be able to say, it's going to be okay. It's fine. Hence the mantra work, hence the journaling practices on the specific topic. And then we can decide that we don't need to have walls. We just need to have boundaries. And boundaries are not just to keep people out or keep certain situations out. It's to keep your peace in, to maintain your authenticity, your personal power, your joy, your ability to relax and be vulnerable in a safe space. Not everyone deserves to receive our vulnerability and our honesty. So when we understand our boundaries, our values, that's what we were talking about in some of these collective readings, we can put ourselves in situations where we know we are safe to unwind. It's important to be on guard. There's a reason we have fight or flight responses, because we're not meant to be relaxed 100% of the time, but we're also not meant to be hyper vigilant, because we fry our nervous system when we're doing that. So we're trying to tap in to what is the core of that? What makes us feel safe? What can we do to facilitate more of that happening? And how can we access that at any time?